In the blink of an eye, your entire world can change. Imagine your child's college fund gone, your company's secrets are exposed, your identity is stolen. They are real threats lurking in the shadows of our digital world. But there is hope. At Black Hat USA 2024, the brightest minds in cybersecurity came together to shine a light on these hidden dangers. They have uncovered threats you never knew existed and developed shields to protect what matters most to you. In this video, we're diving deep into the groundbreaking research and shocking discoveries revealed at Black Hat USA 2024. We kick off our journey with a session that might make you think twice about every click you make online. James Kettle, the Director of Research at Portswigger, unveiled a suite of novel attack concepts that exploit timing vulnerabilities in websites. Kettle showed how these attacks can reveal server secrets, expose hidden misconfigurations, and even open up routes to forbidden areas of websites. He even demonstrated multiple real-world case studies on diverse targets, proving that these attacks are not only possible, but practical. In just 10 seconds without any special setup, attackers can now reliably detect timing differences as small as a fraction of a millisecond. This means that vulnerabilities that were once thought to be too subtle to exploit are now fair game for hackers. Now, let's talk about something we all rely on to keep us safe: software updates. We've always been told to keep our systems up to date to stay secure. But what if those very updates could be used against us? That's exactly what Alan Leviev, a security researcher from SafeBreach, revealed in his shocking presentation. Leviev introduced us to Windows Downdate, a tool that can hijack the Windows update process to craft custom downgrades. This means an attacker could potentially force your system to revert to an older, vulnerable version of itself. Leviev demonstrated how this technique could be used to downgrade critical OS components, including DLLs, drivers, and even the NT kernel itself. Even more frightening, after such an attack, your system would report that it's fully updated and unable to install future updates. Even recovery and scanning tools would be unable to detect that anything was amiss. But it gets worse. Leviev showed that this technique could also be used to compromise the entire virtualization stack, including Hyper-V's hypervisor, secure kernel, and credential guard. They even found ways to disable virtualization-based security and its features like credential guard and hypervisor protected code integrity, even when these are enforced with UEFI locks. Leviev discovered a vulnerability that makes all of these attack vectors accessible to unprivileged attackers. This means that even if you're not logged in as an administrator, your system could still be at risk. Moving on, as we know, electric vehicles are the future of transportation, but are they opening up new avenues for cyber attacks? A team of security researchers from ComputeSat Sector 7, Tarish Alkamate, Khaled Assar, and Dan Cooper proved that they absolutely are. At the Pon-to-On automotive event in Tokyo earlier this year, this team successfully demonstrated exploits for vulnerabilities in 3 different EV chargers. Now, you might be thinking, so what? My car charger got hacked, not a big deal. But the scary part is that all of these exploits could be triggered just by being close enough to connect to the charger's Bluetooth signal. No physical access is required. The team was able to execute arbitrary code on these chargers, essentially giving them full control, and most of these vulnerabilities were incredibly easy to find once the researchers got their hands on the firmware. The lack of basic security measures meant that writing the exploits was also straightforward. This research is a wake-up call for the entire IoT industry, not just EV manufacturers. It highlights how our rush to make everything smart and connected often outspaces our ability to make these devices secure. In the aftermath of a major cyber attack, the spotlight often falls on one person, the Chief Information Security Officer. However, recent federal regulatory and criminal enforcement actions are turning up the heat on CISOs like never before. Jess Null, a partner at Baker McKenzie LLP, delivered a crucial briefing on this topic, offering essential strategies for CISOs to navigate these treacherous waters. Null highlighted recent cases that are sending shockwaves through the InfoSec community. The Sec v SolarWinds and Tim Brown case marks the first time a CISO has been charged with intentional securities fraud for failing to report cybersecurity vulnerabilities to shareholders. This case, along with others like Henry Yahoo and USV Joe Sullivan Uber, is fundamentally changing the landscape of CISO liability. But it's not all bad news. Noel provided practical lessons and strategies for CISOs and other InfoSec professionals to protect themselves. In a session that reads like a spy thriller, Morgan Dembosky and Mark Parsons from Sophos unveiled a year-long investigation into a Chinese state-sponsored cyber espionage campaign codenamed Crimson Palace. This wasn't just another APT, it was a coordinated effort by 3 distinct threat clusters targeting a Southeast Asian government organization. The attackers initially used the target network as a testing ground for novel malware and evasive techniques, but when they became aware of countermeasures, they shifted to a more aggressive approach. The arsenal used by these attackers was impressive and diverse, as they included over a dozen different malware families, more than 15 distinct DLL sideloads, and multiple novel defense evasion techniques, such as a new malware variant capable of black-holing antivirus communications. But perhaps more importantly, Dembosky and Parsons shared the human side of this investigation. They detailed the challenges they faced and the novel techniques they developed to navigate this complex intrusion. Let's shift gears and talk about something that's probably in your pocket right now, your smartphone. A team of security engineers from Google, Zhilingong Shuangjing and Eugene Rodionov, presented a deep dive into a critical but often overlooked component of your mobile device, the GPU. The team found that the GPU is a treasure trove for hackers seeking root access to your device. The team focused their research on the Qualcomm Adreno GPU, which is found in many Android devices worldwide. What they found was alarming. They identified 9 exploitable vulnerabilities in the Adreno GPU driver, affecting devices using the latest GPU models. These vulnerabilities could lead to kernel code execution. In other words, total control over your device. The team also demonstrated how they could exploit one of these vulnerabilities on a fully patched, widely used Android device to obtain root privileges from a zero-permission application, and they could do it with a 100% success rate. Let that sink in for a moment. A seemingly harmless app with no permissions could take complete control of your device. What makes this research particularly significant is how it overcomes some of the strongest security measures in modern Android devices. The team developed a novel generic exploit method that leverages GPU features to achieve arbitrary physical memory read or write. Let's discuss something fundamental to secure communications on the internet, SSH or Secure Shell. Millions of servers worldwide use SSH for everything, from remote login to file transfer, and it's been a cornerstone of network security for decades. But Fabian Boehmer, a research assistant from Ruhr University Bochum, has uncovered a flaw that could shake the foundations of this trusted protocol. Boehmer introduced the Terrapin attack, a method that breaks SSH channel integrity for 3 widely used encryption modes. This attack allows for what's called prefix truncation. Essentially, it lets an attacker delete encrypted packets at the beginning of an SSH session without either the client or server noticing. Boehmer also identified an implementation flaw in async SSH that, when combined with the Terrapin attack, allows an attacker to redirect a victim's login into a shell controlled by the attacker. Imagine logging into what you think is your secure server, only to find out you've been typing your commands into a hacker's playground. The scope of this vulnerability is staggering. An internet-wide scan revealed that 71.6% of SSH servers support a vulnerable encryption mode, with 63.2% even listed it as their preferred choice. That's millions of servers potentially at risk. In a presentation that sounds like it came straight out of a spy movie, researchers Haiku Shi, Fan Yang, and Shinran Dai unveiled a discovery about a vulnerability lurking in our smartphone's native video calling features. We've all heard about the risks of clicking on suspicious links or downloading unknown attachments, but what if simply accepting a video call could give an attacker full control of your device? That's exactly what these researchers uncovered. They discovered critical zero-day vulnerabilities in some native carrier-based video calling systems of mobile phones. These vulnerabilities have apparently been present for at least 7 years, lurking undetected in millions of devices worldwide. Here's the scary part. All it takes to exploit these vulnerabilities is for the target to accept a video call invitation. Once accepted, the attacker can remotely obtain code execution permissions for the target phone system. In other words, they gain full control over the device. Which of these security threats concerns you the most and why? Let us know in the comments section. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.